Stay sharp. Don't let a fake smile fool your mind. Have you ever been around someone who smiled at you, complimented you, showed concern for you, but deep down you felt uneasy, empty, drained every time you left their presence? You couldn't explain it, but something felt off. A smile that was too sweet, a compliment that didn't feel sincere, a helping hand that came with unspoken expectations. You're not crazy. That's your intuition speaking. And chances are, you may be standing dangerously close to a toxic person, someone skilled at hiding harm behind a mask of kindness. In a complex world where people wear hundreds of masks to conceal their true nature, Stoic philosophy doesn't tell you to be suspicious of everyone. It teaches you to observe so you can protect yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, remind yourself, today you will meet selfish, dishonest, arrogant, and angry people, but they cannot harm you if you remain true to yourself." So this video isn't about judging others. It's about helping you see clearly the subtle signs that someone in your life might be the greatest hidden threat to your inner peace. And now, let's dive into 10 clear signs that you're possibly standing too close to someone with a dark agenda. Not to judge, but to guard the calm within you. Sign number 1, they often make you feel guilty, without a clear reason. This is one of the most subtle tactics toxic people use. They make you doubt yourself. They don't yell. They don't accuse you outright. Instead, they plant seeds of guilt, vague feelings that you did something wrong, that you're not enough, or that you somehow hurt them, even when you had no intention to. They use half-true, half-passive phrases like, "I'm fine, just a little disappointed, that's all. I didn't expect much from you anyway." It's always the same. You're busy with everything else but me. These aren't direct attacks, but they hit your self-worth. You start to feel like the bad guy. You apologize for things you don't fully understand. Worse, you begin to bend over backwards just to ease that strange guilt that they quietly planted in you. That's emotional manipulation. Toxic people don't need to scream. They distort your emotions, then step back and watch you chain yourself with shame. They flip the script, making you feel like the one causing harm when they're the ones in control. So how would a Stoic respond? Reason is your sharpest sword. When guilt creeps in, pause and ask yourself, is this feeling really coming from something I did? Did I intend to cause harm? If I'm wrong, I'll own it. But if I'm not, do I really need to apologize just to make someone else feel better? Stoicism doesn't teach you to be cold. It teaches you not to let someone else's emotions control your mind. Sometimes being too kind isn't a virtue. It's a trap, one that leads to emotional dependence. Sign number 2, they're only kind when it benefits them and disappear when you're no longer useful. There's a type of person who seems kind, thoughtful, even deeply caring. But if you look closely, you'll notice a pattern. Their kindness always comes with conditions. When you have status, value, or something they need, they're by your side. But when life gets hard or you're no longer useful to them, they suddenly grow distant, cold, or vanish altogether. These aren't true friends. They're emotional investors, calculating every kind gesture, every encouraging word, every coffee invite, like setting a trap. Not because they care about you, but because they care about what you can give them. And the moment you're no longer profitable in their eyes, you're left behind, as if the connection never existed. That's when you realize their affection was just a mask, their kindness a tool. They could be a coworker who praised you when you were in the boss's good graces, but kept their distance when you hit a rough patch. They could be a friend who always needed your help, but disappeared the one time you needed advice. They could be an ex who once promised to stand by you in hard times, but only stayed as long as your wallet was full. So how does a Stoic respond? A Stoic doesn't get bitter and doesn't judge people harshly. Instead, they observe reality as it is. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "Don't be surprised by human nature. What is natural will always reveal itself." Watch people's behavior over time, not just their words when things are easy. Ask yourself, if I lost everything, would this person still treat me the same? If the answer is no, then you know this isn't someone worth opening your heart to. Stoicism teaches us to cherish genuine relationships, but also to release transactional ones without guilt. Not everyone who treats you well is a good person. Sometimes it's just an unspoken contract. Sign number 3, they plant seeds of doubt, but always dodge responsibility. There's a type of person who constantly makes you feel uneasy in relationships. They never say anything outright. They don't point to anything specific. Instead, they plant subtle seeds of doubt and quietly watch as your confidence, freedom, and trust in others begin to erode. They might say things like, "I heard someone's not happy with the way you're doing things. You should be careful around that person. I can't say too much, but something feels off. Just a hunch, but I think someone's been talking behind your back." These comments aren't meant to help you. They're meant to stir anxiety and suspicion. And when you begin to feel confused or anxious, they quickly step back and play innocent. "I was just being honest, don't overthink it. Sorry if you took it the wrong way, that's not what I meant." This tactic is emotional manipulation in disguise. Their words are like a drop of ink in a clear glass of water. At first, it's barely noticeable, but over time, the water turns murky, and your once clear mind becomes clouded with doubt, jealousy, and insecurity. How does a Stoic respond to this? A Stoic understands, if something isn't clear, it isn't worth dwelling on. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by events themselves, but by our interpretations of them." So instead of spiraling into speculation, a Stoic asks, is there actual evidence for this claim? Does this information help me live a better life? Is this person warning me out of care or creating noise? If someone frequently makes you suspicious of others but refuses to own their words, be cautious. Good people bring clarity. Toxic people hide in ambiguity. You can't control what others whisper in your ear, but you can choose not to let your mind become a field where their poison takes root. Sign number 4, they're not happy about your success, even if they say congratulations. Some people will clap when you succeed, smile, and say all the right words. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice that smile doesn't reach their eyes. Their gaze drifts, their congratulations sound forced, and soon after, there's an uncomfortable silence. That's often the sign of hidden jealousy, one of the clearest indicators of a toxic person. It's not that they outright hate you. They hate the feeling of comparison, of seeing themselves as less than you. And instead of working harder to improve their own lives, they quietly wish for your failure. Why? Because your failure would restore their sense of being normal. You share a big accomplishment, and they say things like, "Wow, lucky you, huh? You're already good at it. Why brag? That's nothing. I know people who've done way more than that." These comments aren't constructive, and they're not outright attacks either. They're veiled in sarcasm or backhanded compliments, classic signs of envy. Deep down, your success doesn't inspire them. It threatens them. It makes them feel small, and that discomfort leaks through their words and actions. So what's the Stoic response? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time worrying about what others say. Focus on doing the right thing." A Stoic doesn't live for recognition, and definitely not for the approval of those who don't truly wish them well. Stoicism helps you tell the difference between true light and false light. When someone can't be happy for your success, Don't get angry or disappointed. Instead, quietly thank them, because they just showed you who they really are, who to keep close, and who to let go. And whatever you do, don't fall into the trap of dimming your light to make others comfortable. You don't need to shrink so they can feel tall. You simply need to stay the course, steadfast, clear, and bright. Let your light be the test that reveals the quality of the people around you. If someone can't celebrate you at your best, they don't deserve to walk with you at your worst. Sign number 5, they manipulate your emotions, making you feel guilty, even when you've done nothing wrong. One of the most subtle and toxic behaviors is when someone constantly makes you feel guilty, not because you've actually done something wrong, but because they want to keep you in a weaker position. This is a classic tactic of emotional manipulators. They hurt you first, but when you react, they flip the script and blame you for being too sensitive or overreacting. They ignore your needs, but when you speak up, they say things like, "After all I've done for you, how could you treat me this way?" They wound you, but then play the victim, leaving you confused, full of self-doubt, and somehow apologizing for their actions. This is a strategy called role reversal. The offender turns themselves into the one who's been wronged. And once you start doubting your own feelings and instincts, you become easier to manipulate, easier to control, easier to depend on them. So what would a Stoic do? Stoicism doesn't teach you to be cold or emotionless. It teaches you to understand your emotions honestly and respond with calm clarity. Epictetus once said, "Other people can hurt you only if you allow them to control your mind." So when faced with emotional manipulation, a Stoic doesn't fall into unjustified guilt. Instead, they ask themselves, did I actually do something wrong? Does this person often make me feel this way? Why is it that every time I speak up, they shut me down by making me feel like the bad guy? Through this kind of inner questioning, Stoics learn to stay centered and not get swept away by the waves of blame and guilt. They don't try to win against the manipulator. They step away from the game entirely because they know you don't always have to argue to prove you're right. Your mind is sacred ground. Anyone who repeatedly makes you feel guilty for no clear reason is trying to trespass on that territory. And as the Stoics remind us, guard the gates of your mind with great care. Sign number 6, they never take responsibility. It's always someone else's fault. Toxic people are masters at dodging responsibility. They never admit they're wrong and always have someone or something else to blame. When things go wrong, they point fingers at the world or even at you, rather than looking inward to understand the real issue. They'll say things like, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have done that." It's all because of these difficult circumstances. And if people didn't hold me back, I would have made it by now. These individuals rarely stop to ask themselves, what did I do wrong? They refuse to take ownership of their actions and miss every opportunity to grow from their mistakes. When they fail, their first instinct is to look for someone to blame, not for ways to improve themselves. How would a Stoic respond? To a Stoic, responsibility is the key to personal power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything in life is the result of the choices we make. If you don't take charge of your decisions, you'll be controlled by everything around you." When faced with someone who constantly blames others or external circumstances, a Stoic doesn't respond with anger or blame. Instead, they remain calm and grounded, reminding themselves that every situation can be reframed through the lens of personal responsibility and perspective. They ask themselves, what can I do to improve this situation? Can I learn from others' mistakes without falling into the trap of blaming? What part of this is actually my responsibility? A Stoic doesn't waste time hunting for scapegoats. They search for lessons and focus on mastering their own emotions and actions. Because in life, while you can't control everything around you, you always have control over how you respond. Remember this: responsibility is not a burden, it's a superpower. And those who keep blaming others will never truly grow or be free. Sign number 7, they use your kindness to manipulate you, always playing the good person when it benefits them. One of the most obvious signs of a toxic person is when they use your kindness as a tool for manipulation. These people don't genuinely care about you. They only act like they do when they need something from you. They may constantly say sweet things, claiming they're always there for you, but when you truly need them, they disappear, or worse, ignore you. They offer you attention and help when you don't ask for it, but when you're in real need of support, they go silent or even betray you. They often say things like, "I'm always here for you. Just say the word. If you trust me, I'll help you through anything. I get it. I've been through the same thing." But in reality, these words are just a mask. They want something from you, maybe recognition, maybe submission, or maybe just your help to get what they want without having to pay the price themselves. How would a Stoic respond to this? According to Stoic philosophy, we can't control other people, but we can always control how we respond to them. A Stoic is aware that not all acts of kindness come from good intentions, and they stay cautious around those who use generosity as a form of leverage. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look beneath the surface of every action. Don't be fooled by appearances." A Stoic learns to tell the difference between genuine kindness and emotional bait. They understand that truth lives in actions, not in words. When someone uses kindness as a form of manipulation, a Stoic doesn't respond with anger or bitterness. Instead, they observe carefully and ask themselves, did this person actually show up when I needed them? Do their words match their behavior? Are they trying to create a sense of debt in this relationship? They also refuse to fall into the trap of feeling indebted. Stoics know that real kindness is given freely, without expectation. They maintain independence and self-respect, never allowing their compassion to become a weakness others can exploit. True kindness means giving without strings attached. But if someone uses your empathy against you, a Stoic chooses to step back and protect their own freedom. Sign number 8, they're never satisfied. No matter what you do, it's never good enough. One of the clearest signs of a toxic person is that they're never satisfied with anything you do. No matter how hard you try, they'll always find something wrong, and whatever you do is never quite good enough for them. You've probably met someone like this before. When you do something well, they'll say things like, "Yeah, that's fine, but it could have been better. I'll admit you're good, but not quite there yet. That's okay, but I think it would have been better if you did it my way." They may not always criticize you outright, but their tone, their attitude, the constant lack of satisfaction makes you feel like you're never enough. They set impossible standards, and when you don't meet them, they choose to criticize instead of encourage. How would a Stoic respond? According to Stoic philosophy, true fulfillment doesn't come from external validation. It comes from knowing you acted rightly and lived in alignment with your values. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Satisfaction is not something others give you, it's something you give yourself." When faced with people who are never satisfied, a Stoic doesn't respond with disappointment or try harder just to please them. Instead, they focus on their own actions, accepting that they cannot and should not try to please everyone. A Stoic understands that the essence of excellence is continual self-improvement, and they find joy in personal growth, not in other people's approval. They don't let someone else's dissatisfaction shake their sense of self-worth. They recognize that while they can't control others' judgments, they can control their own effort and integrity. Questions a Stoic might ask themselves: did I act in line with my best abilities? Am I striving to be better, or just seeking approval? If I gave it my best, do others' criticisms really matter? For the Stoic, life isn't about winning applause. And because of that, criticism or lack of recognition can't take away their confidence or inner peace. Sign number 9, they always try to make you feel guilty about your choices. One of the strongest signs of a toxic person is when they constantly try to make you feel guilty about your decisions, whether those choices are right or wrong. They may not openly criticize you, but through subtle comments and actions, they cause you to doubt yourself. They might say things like, "You can't do that. If it were me, I'd never choose something like that. The way you live is selfish. Don't you ever think about others? I don't understand how you could do that to the people who matter most in your life." These statements aren't constructive advice or genuine concern. They're attempts to make you feel guilty so they can manipulate your decisions. These people don't respect your independence or your right to make choices. Instead, they use emotional pressure to push you into doing what they think is right. How would a Stoic respond? According to Stoic philosophy, each person has the right to choose their own path in life, and no one has the authority to make you feel guilty for your decisions, especially if those decisions aren't harming anyone. Stoics understand that choices are deeply personal, and no one but you can fully know what's best for your life. They don't allow guilt or blame from others to shake their judgment or steer them away from what they believe is right. This doesn't mean Stoics ignore advice or feedback from others. However, they stay grounded and won't be swayed by guilt that others try to impose. A Stoic doesn't live by the judgment of others because they know that everyone walks their own path, and only you truly understand what you need. They remind themselves, "Every action I take reflects the values I believe in, and only I can evaluate those values honestly. If my choices don't harm anyone and serve my growth, I have every right to pursue them." When confronted by someone trying to make them feel guilty for their decisions, a Stoic holds firm and reminds themselves that no one else has the right to define their life. Sign number 10, they always make you feel tense and unable to relax. A clear sign of a toxic person is when being around them constantly makes you feel tense and unable to relax. They may not always do something overtly aggressive, but their presence, attitude, or behavior drains your energy and puts you on edge. Every interaction feels like walking on a tightrope. You're never at ease. They might create unnecessary drama, turning simple situations into stress-filled ordeals. Make you worry about their judgment constantly, as if they're watching your every move. Make you feel like you're never enough, leaving you guarded, anxious, and unable to truly be yourself. People like this create a negative emotional environment where you feel judged or uncomfortable all the time. The relationship becomes a never-ending test, and you're always bracing for the next wave of tension or disapproval. How would a Stoic respond? A Stoic understands that while they can't control everything around them, they can control how they respond. They know that changing others isn't always possible, but mastering their own reactions is. When faced with people who bring stress and negativity, Stoics don't get pulled into the emotional chaos. They prioritize inner peace and do whatever they can to stay calm and centered. That's why Stoics train themselves to maintain tranquility regardless of external circumstances. They also understand stress is often a sign that you're letting external forces dictate your emotions. A Stoic responds by creating emotional distance, not allowing toxic people to disturb their inner balance. I can't change others, but I can change how I respond to them. Stoics stand firm and remind themselves that tension is a signal to re-examine how they're engaging. And if necessary, they step away from toxic relationships to protect their peace. For a Stoic, peace of mind is the highest goal, and they know no one has the right to take that away. And there you have it, all 10 signs of toxic people, and how to face them with the strength and wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Hopefully, these insights help you better understand the people around you and empower you to respond with clarity, confidence, and calm. Conclusion: the key to living peacefully and powerfully in a challenging world. In life, we can't always avoid toxic people, those who bring negativity and emotional harm. But through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we realize that peace doesn't come from controlling what others do to us. It comes from how we choose to respond. We may not be able to control everything in life, but we can control our emotions and decisions. The signs we've explored weren't meant to create fear or paranoia. They were meant to bring clarity, helping us better understand the world around us while strengthening our focus on inner growth. Yes, these people can make us feel awful in the moment, but with a grounded mindset and a stoic attitude, we don't have to let them dictate our emotions or actions. We might not be able to change the world, but we can change the way we respond to it. Start today. Stoicism isn't some distant theory. It's a way of life that can be applied daily. When we realize that toxic people only have power over us if we give it to them, we take back that power and focus on what we can control, ourselves. As a Stoic, you don't live in fear of others. You live to become the best version of yourself, guided by strong moral values and committed to protecting your inner peace, no matter what chaos surrounds you. You have the right to choose your actions, and you have the right to stay calm and centered, even in the face of difficulty. Take action today. Don't let negativity or toxic people shake your resolve or steal your peace. Practice self-awareness, self-control, and the wisdom to observe and respond mindfully in any situation. Every step you take on the Stoic path makes you stronger and more resilient. Stay committed to the Stoic way. No matter the challenges ahead, your actions today will shape a stronger version of yourself tomorrow. Let Stoic philosophy be your compass toward a life of calm, strength, and meaning. And don't forget to share what you've learned today, because when you embrace the power of Stoicism, you inspire others to do the same. Change starts with you. Spread peace and strength to those around you.